A cool story I have from a client of mine years ago that was both automation related, but more importantly, priority related was something simple. In fact, so simple that it became brilliant. It's a pest control company that wanted to increase all these different metrics in 1 year. They wanted to reduce accounts receivable, increase revenue, increase profit, lower the amount of times they had to go back out and reservice clients, wanted to make their own employees happier, reduce employee turnover, all these different things. So we chatted about it, talked a long time, and I won't take credit. A lot of this was their idea, but I'm there. They decided that they would really start focusing in on customer communication. Now, notice I didn't say a generic customer service answer. We all love we're going to love on our customers and smile and username. And yeah, everybody does that. But what they meant was when they are getting ready to come to your house to do a pest control service, it's important that they do both the outside and the inside. And what they would find in a lot of cases, the customers weren't prepared to let the technicians in. Either they weren't home or they would be home, but whatever. The house is a mess. They weren't dressed and they would pretend not to be home, which is pretty frustrating for the poor technician. So what they did back in the day, they used to just send like a little postcard. I'm holding up my hands because for whatever reason, I think you need to see what the size of a postcard is. They would send these little postcards out. Well, they decided now that we had the technology and it was becoming new and available, that they would send an email. And then they would also send a text. And then the text they would send would have a picture of the pest control guy coming. Hey, Charles is coming Thursday at 3 p.m. Please make sure somebody's available. Oh, by the way, Charles is a big UT fan, has, a family, dog, pet peeves or rainy days and people that don't smile. Please let him in. And they'd get an email, they'd get a text. What they found, customers were more willing to be home because they felt a connection and they were responsibility to Charles, who's coming to do the pest control service. Not to mention Charles would show up, they'd be there, they'd have a little conversation while they were going through, found out they might have had some things in common, made the employees happier because they didn't have to, beat down the doors or feel like they were being the bad guy for doing their job, but they could also build a rapport with a customer. And then it had all of these cascading effects afterwards. For example, they didn't have to go out and do reservices nearly as much because why? Well, the customer is there. They don't have to go back out and spray the inside when it's convenient. The customer knows to make it available for the technician. So reservices went down, therefore profit went up because we're spending less time doing that. Customer satisfaction went up because they're getting all their service all at one time and they're creating a relationship with this technician. Employee turnover went down. Employee satisfaction went up. Accounts receivable, which they hadn't even discussed, went down, meaning they could collect more while they're already there. Just in case the customer hadn't paid yet, they had these fancy new devices on them where they could accept payment for their employer. That one thing, customer communication, which I'm sure somebody watching somewhere said, well, I don't like it when somebody over communicates with me. Tough. It worked for them. And, sometimes you're going to have a few people that are upset no matter what. So what does that mean for you? What does that mean for me? I realized years ago in my explainer video business, there's a ton of things I really need to do well. Obviously, I need to market it. I need to, create really good, compelling videos. I need to focus in on the story. But one day I realized the biggest priority that I was missing was customer, or rather lead generation follow-up. I could get people interested, follow up once or twice, and I'd float off into the sunset, not practicing anything I preached as a business coach. So I finally made it a point to have a 7-point system where I got in contact with them 7 times because people are busy and overwhelmed. Made a huge difference in my business coaching. Even though you want to say customer service or talking to my clients or all of these other cool things are really important, and they are, one of the priorities I really had to make do with was doing more live events, doing more in-person video, doing more things where people can see and hear some of the stories that I've got, because that will ensure they can know, like, and trust me and build up for it later. So what about you? What are some of the things that you need to consider focusing in on that's not generic? Maybe it's a certain networking event that when you attend regularly impacts your business. Maybe it's employee training or teamwork events for you and your team that you keep putting off, but always have a positive impact. Maybe I can tell you what it's not. It's not training. It's not training. It's not emails. It's not, endless meetings, but or generic customer service. But for you, it could be additional things like creating those SOPs that let you get out of the business more often. So either way, the pest control company did really well, did so well that they were able to sell later at a very hefty profit, primarily because they did a lot of the good things correctly and they knew what their top priorities were.